If you're anything like me and just spent the last of your UR points on copies of Super Heavy Samurai Warlord Susanoo, you might be interested in some low rarity cards that can keep up with the meta. These won't replace the Supers and Ultras that you'd ideally be playing, but they should be strong enough to tide you over until the grind for gems finally pays off. So let's start with some big hitters. Phantom Knight's Fogblade and Fiendish Chain. These are essentially the same card. They can lock down a single target for multiple turns if need be. Then there's Forbidden Chalice and Book of Moon, which are great for disabling problematic monsters on your own turn. Another good option is Lost Wind. It can be used multiple times over the course of a duel. It keeps coming back from the graveyard, great for a grind. And also Blizzard, which is a spell that can negate an opponent's spell temporarily, puts it back in their hand and they can't use it for the rest of that turn. So perhaps instead of negation you'd rather deal with the opponent's threats once they're on the board. It's hard to beat the Mystical Space Typhoons that you get in the structure deck, to be honest. In terms of spell and trap removal, doesn't get much better than that. You likely also already have access to Raigeki and Lightning Storm, but Lightning Vortex is an extremely lower powered alternative. Maybe instead I should suggest Sky Striker Maneuvers, Afterburners and Jamming Waves. These can get extra value later in the game when there's more spells in the grave. But the champions of removal that's a catch-all for any situation are the Kaijus, and there are plenty of them at low rarity. How about some cards for going first that can ruin your opponent's day? We've got some Trap Holes, Space-Time Trap Hole and Bottomless Trap Hole. They'll remove your opponent's monsters as soon as they're summoned. If you'd prefer something always chainable, then Compulsory Evacuation Device is a great card, as well as Dogmatica Punishment if you've got the right deck for it. Black Horn of Heaven makes an excellent substitute for a Solemn Warning, or if you'd rather wipe the slate clean, you've got Torrential Tribute and Needle Sealing. Let's look at some options for extenders. Cards like Jester Confit, One-Time Passcode, and Fiend Sanctuary can put a single monster on the board. There are also a handful of danger monsters available at low rarity, but one of the strongest extenders has to be Parallel Exceed, which puts 2 bodies on the board for an easy access to rank 4s or link 2 monsters. There's also World Legacy World Crown, which offers a little disruption in addition to being free material. And of course there's the entire Tenyi archetype. Every main deck monster is rare or lower. They come in all different attributes and a couple of different levels. Vishuda especially is powerful when combined with their also low rarity link monster, Monk of the Tenyi. You can get some removal by activating Vishuda's effect in the grave. Perhaps you want some options to rebuild your board? Call of the Haunted and Back to the Front are both SRs, so instead of spending valuable resources on those, let me recommend something like the Deep Grave, Oasis of Dragon Slols, and Powerful Rebirth. Also recommend you look into some more specific cards for your deck. You might find something that fits your archetype well, like Iron Call and World Legacy Guard Dragon. They're a little less generic, but work really well. If you're the kind of player that likes floodgates, but don't want to shell out for skill drains and Kaiser Colosseums, then probably the best I can offer you would be Dimensional Fissure, Summoning Curse, it's kind of a reverse maxi, making your opponent discard every time they special summon, or Summon Breaker, which just ends your opponent's turn and they do a 3rd summon. And finally, let's take a look at the extra deck. Most of the cards in here aren't generic by design, so I'll try to highlight some that might have escaped your notice. Old Entity Hastar is a great card, usually overlooked in favour of Herald of the Arclight, but it's also plenty strong. Rhapsody and Berserk and Heartland Draco are excellent rank 4s in the right situation. Next up is Codebreaker Virus Swordsman and Berserker of the Tenyi. These are generic link monsters that can be made with pretty much any monster. They have incredible stats for the amount of material you put into them. Geonator Transverser can punish your opponent if they get careless with their card placement. And Double Bite Dragon is a link monster I'm pretty sure no one's ever heard of, but it's unaffected by monster effects and can't be destroyed by battle, and that might be enough to stump some people. So these are all the cards I could come up with my quick scan through. Let me know all the ones I've missed, I'm sure there are hundreds and hundreds, and I hope this helped you. Okay, bye!